Hello, my name is Joseph Arnold, and welcome to day 14 of 100 Days of Soulforce. Today we're going to be talking about the doing mode versus the receiving mode. This is really crucial for understanding how to move freely, how to be at ease even when you're doing really difficult things like performance art, or whatever kind that you do, music, dance, even just washing your dishes. You might notice those times when you get tighter than you need to, or maybe you only notice it afterwards, after you're done playing. Like, oh, my shoulders are really sore. What was I doing? Or maybe you even have injuries. So for each of these times, if you have like chronic musculoskeletal injuries of some kind, overuse injuries, or even if you're just a little bit sore, a little bit tighter than you think you need to be, then you can really benefit from understanding the difference between the doing mode and the receiving mode. So we're going to be getting into that today. My name is Joseph Arnold, a violinist, Alexander Technique teacher, and we're going to be drawing on the Alexander Technique today, and founder of the Soulforce Arts Academy. And today I'm going to be showing you about the doing mode and the receiving mode. We're going to do some experiential exercises together, and then at the end I'm going to tie it all together with the Soulforce idea. Like, why is this important for becoming a Soulforce artist? So here we go. So one of the great questions that I've been asking in my life is how to do difficult things with less tension, with less effort. I came to this question because I had injuries in my arms from playing violin like this, right? So I really had to learn how to play violin like this, and that's what the Alexander Technique taught me. And one of the big themes that I learned in Alexander Technique was to have a more receptive kind of attitude towards what I do. And I've come to understand this as actually being about something even deeper than I thought in the beginning. And that's about the sense of self that we have. I don't know if you've ever thought about your sense of self, like the model of what you think yourself is, but this is super important for how you get about in the world, your quality of life in general. A lot of meditation, like especially Buddhist meditation, is about examining the sense of self. And so here we go. We're going to get into that, and you'll see how this all connects. I really love thinking about this stuff. So here we go. So in the usual sense of self that a lot of us have is that it feels like we're like behind our eyes, inside our head, like peering out through our eyes onto the world. That's what it feels like. It's like I'm inside my skin. I'm inside my skin, and there's the world out there. There's the sense of separation. That's one of the themes we've been talking about, separation between self and other. And there's another model. So that's the theme. What I can say, there's another model, which is more participatory, more like a feedback loop. Like self and world are more like a feedback loop. The mind-body is an open circuit completed by the world. It's a great quote by Merleau-Ponty. So there's just more of a sense of participating with the world in activities. And the first way, the way of like the separate self, tends to feel kind of effortful. There's this linearity of effort. Like I'm doing something onto my violin. I'm doing something onto the dishes. Whereas with the other way, the self of interbeing, you could say, you can go check out my video on interbeing, then it's more receptive. Then I'm not entirely responsible for the doing of everything. There's a sense of being able to witness and receive what happens, and that's much more easeful. And so this is kind of the basis for understanding the doing mode and the receiving mode. So before we go any further with any other theory, let's have an experience here, very clear experience. You'll see what I mean. So take your fingers like this, okay? And we're gonna do a pattern of tapping. Just go back and forth with your fingertips, tapping back and forth, okay? And go pretty quickly, okay? And really make sure that your fingertips are lining up just so. All right, and as you do that, begin to notice what's happening in your body. Is your body getting tighter or freer? You just ask yourself that. And as you do this, which way does it see? Does it feel like you're inside your head, kind of making your hands do this, like with your head, like kind of moving towards your hands? You can see this with people doing their phones on their phones, being like, it's the head forward posture. This is the separate self, like using effort to do things. So you can ask yourself, if you're getting tighter while you're doing this, especially if you notice your head moving towards rather than away from your hands, that's the doing mode. Okay, so it feels kind of tight, kind of effortful, and if you want to go faster, you got to use more effort, right? But that's kind of productive. I'll explain that in a bit. So let's just try the other way, the receiving mode. You simply receive your hands doing this. Just think of that. Okay, your fingers are moving, and you're receiving the movement of your fingers. You're receiving the sight of your hands moving. You're receiving your whole body in this. It's not just your hands moving, your whole body is here. You're receiving the room around you as you do this. And almost as if it's happening, like somebody else is doing it. Almost as if it's being beamed into your consciousness from elsewhere. I wonder if that was different for you. It certainly was for me. I noticed a much freer quality of movement, much more sense of spaciousness, and less of a sense of being hurried or rushed while I was moving. Easier to connect with my whole body in the receiving mode. It was easier to let my whole body be at ease. And I also noticed my head moving away from, not like this, but just like not closing in on my hands. And that's a very clear sign of the receiving mode. So, and this is one of the things that Mr. Alexander of the Alexander technique talked about a lot. Like the head sort of clenching forward, moving forward and down like that. So you'll see this. So actually what I want you to do is to do another activity right now. It could be just like grabbing your mug, or I don't know, looking at the window out at something, or anything that's at hand really. Maybe writing with your hand, or maybe go on your phone and type something. And I want you to notice the same thing. Notice, one, is your body getting tighter or freer while you're doing this? And two, is your head moving towards or away from the activity? Okay, so pause the video and go do that. Okay, great, welcome back. I hope you did that, because it's really important to have the experience, the embodied experience of what this is about. It's not useful. These ideas are interesting, but not useful unless you have the embodied experience. So if you haven't gone to do the thing, go do the thing. And if you have, great. And I wonder, I wish we were in conversation right now, so I could hear what that was like for you. Did you notice as you were writing, did your head go towards, did your body get tighter? Or, while you were typing on the phone. So now we're going to do the second half of the experiment. Do the same activity. This time think of receiving the activity, receiving the act of writing, receiving the phone, receiving that thing over there that you're looking at. After all, the light, is not like coming from your eyes to the object. The light is coming towards your retina. There's nothing you can do other than receive the light. The sensations from your hands when you're doing something, there's nothing you can do but receive the sensations. So go do that. Hit pause and notice, did you get freer or tighter? And did your head go towards or away? Yay, okay, now that you're back, again, what did you notice? Did you actually notice a difference in yourself? let's see. There's a couple different directions to go in here. Yeah, so let's even spend a moment thinking about something. And just notice that thoughts are received as well. Even the feeling of effort to think something is received. In Buddhist meditation, sometimes they call it the sense door of thought. And if you've ever meditated, you'll recognize that thoughts just come. And what about speaking? Why don't you try speaking something right now and think of receiving it? Sometimes when I'm speaking, I can definitely get into the doing mode where I get like this and I'm trying to get the words out, and there's this linear thing that happens. And that linearity is like the self is in here and the thing I'm doing is out there, and it goes like this, and it's very tight and narrow and not all that much fun, and I can feel all this tension in here. But when I think about receiving, if you can even already hear the difference, see the difference in the way that I move. When I think of receiving the words, when I think of receiving the sensations of speaking, that actually my whole body gets lighter. And it's more fun. There's less pressure to get it right. I'm just kind of witnessing myself speak. And those ideas come up, the impulses to speak come up, kind of all by themselves. And those times when I do get more tight, it's easier to let go. So, okay, we're going to begin to wrap things up here. Your big homework for today is to just play around with the doing mode versus the receiving mode. Just catch yourself throughout the day. When you're typing, when you are speaking with somebody, when you're driving, when you're doing some chores, when you are meditating, when you are exercising, when you are playing your instrument, when you are composing, when you are walking down the street. Receive what you're doing. Receive the ideas. Receive the sights. Receive the sounds. Receive the feeling of volition itself. Receive the sounds that you want to hear when you play, or the moves that you want to make when you dance, or whatever it is that you do. How this connects with Soulforce is that the deeper you listen, and that's what receiving is, the deeper you listen to yourself, the more you're going to draw your audiences into you. It's because we enter R. There's that interbeing idea again. In order to transport your audiences, you need to transport yourself. You need to let yourself be transported. If you want your audiences to hear you, to listen to you, you need to listen to yourself. Nobody likes being talked at. Nobody likes being played at. Nobody likes being danced at, acted at. What people like is to be drawn in. How do you do that? How do you draw somebody in? By receiving yourself, receiving the audience. You don't draw somebody in by going like that, right? It's like this. And when you do that, you tap into the magic source of life within yourself. That's what listening is. That's what receiving is. And when you do that, because of that interbeingness of yourself and your audience is going to touch into that source of life inside themselves. They may not even know what's happening, but they're going to feel something. They're going to feel moved in some way, transported, engaged, enlivened. And I'm here to tell you today that this is our great task. as artists, I believe. We are in a critical time in this earth. And what we can do, I believe, is to create little miracles for people. The earth really needs some miracles right now. All of our brothers and sisters of all species on this planet really need some miracles right now. And we can do that. We are, in fact, uniquely well situated as performing artists, or as artists in general, because people like taking in what we do. We are leaders. We get up in front of people. We have the ability to impact lots of people in a way that, like a cashier maybe, or somebody pushing papers behind a desk maybe doesn't. And people really want to know what we have on offer. They want to take it in. And so by bringing this quality of being, of receiving, when you let yourself listen to what is alive inside yourself, then so your audiences will come more alive. And that, my friends, is exactly what the world needs. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow.